doing well today. So, for those of you who have ever had an interview come up and you just did not know what to say, you didn't know how to articulate your value, you wasn't sure what questions you should ask at the end of the interview, or perhaps what it is that you might want to consider doing to prepare for your interview. Have you ever came across that? I know I have many, many years ago. And so in this video, I'm going to share with you any insights that I have over the past 20 years that I've been working as a C-suite executive, a manager, and a director, and a public speaker. I have done hundreds of interviews at this point, and I have looked at hundreds of resumes, and I can tell you what are some aspects of your interview process that will help you to stand out as a candidate when you are interviewing. I want this to be a live Q&A. If you are subscribed to my channel, you probably watched my video a moment ago about the #1 career mistake that you'll need to avoid as you are developing yourself into your profession. That I will put in the description below as soon as I have a moment. But my daughter woke up from her nap, and so I had to end the video abruptly. But there was a question that was asked toward the end, and I'm hoping this person will be able to join again, because I'd be happy to help in terms of getting them ready for their interview. And so I want to start off with that. I want to be able to give a good answer, uninterrupted. My baby is okay now. She's up from her nap, so she's good. But I want to be able to at least give a proper response to the question. And then as you all are joining today, if you have any questions as it relates to interviewing, preparing for an interview, maybe have questions about how you negotiate your salary, what should you say, what should you not say, this is an opportunity for you to learn 20 years worth of expert C-suite level advice on how you can do well in your interview in about 10 minutes. So let me know if any questions you have, and as you all are joining, I will remind you all to ask me any questions you have. I'm really here to support you on your journey and be of help to you as best as I can as you are developing. I do want to start off with something that I'm very, very excited about. I know this may sound like a minor win to many people, but it is a big win for me. I am so thankful today. Today actually makes the first day that my channel here has reached 250 subscribers. Now, I know that may seem like a small number to you, but if you are on YouTube and you're a content creator or influencer, it takes time for you to be able to build yourself up to have subscribers. So I just want to appreciate you all for being subscribed to my channel. I really, truly want to provide you with as much value as I can, especially as it relates to getting you ready for interviews or salary negotiations or communicating at that higher level as a woman in leadership. I just appreciate you. 250 subscribers to me is a big deal. It takes a long time to get here, and so today marks the day. So I'm just really excited, and I want to be able, now that my baby is settled, I have a little bit of time that I can help you be able to help you on your journey. All right, so if you have some Q&A, let me know. Thank you, Callie Gurley with 250. Hey, I appreciate you for saying that, and I hope you are a subscriber. So thank you so much. I appreciate that. All right, so I'm going to answer the question that was asked me a few moments ago from the live that I was on before my baby woke up. That was relative to interviewing and salary. So if you have any questions specifically to me that you want to ask as it relates to preparing for interviews, communicating during the interviews, what questions you should ask at the end of the interview, how should you negotiate your salary, anything that's related to how you should communicate in an interview, I will do what I can on this live to help you ace your next interview. Or if you know someone that is going through an interview process, perhaps they've interviewed for jobs, they haven't heard back from the employers just yet, then let them know about this video, because I want to answer Q&A for you and provide you with any support that I can. All right, so Callie Gurley, hello again. Thank you so much for the congratulations on 250 subscribers. I'm so excited about that. And Courtney, hello. Nice to meet you. Courtney, I don't think I've seen you on here before, but hello. Welcome. I hope you're subscribed to the channel. And if you have any questions for me as a woman in leadership, I will help you be able to develop your confidence, master your executive presence, and develop some high-level communication skills. So while I'm waiting for questions to come in as it relates to interviewing and getting ready for interviews, and maybe you've had a challenging interview situation, just let me know. I'll be able to answer any questions for you. I've been doing a lot of them, so I can answer them pretty quickly. So the question I was asked previously on the live that I was doing a few minutes ago was about salary. Like, do you need to ask about salary? And what I typically tell my clients to do is when it comes down to salary, there's certain words I want you to say. And sometimes you're kind of wondering oh, you're back. Hey, hello. Thank you for coming back. So this is the individual we were talking about in terms of salary. So now things are settled. I can focus and be able to answer your question. Okay, so we were talking about not boxing yourself in as it relates to salary. A lot of times the mistake that I see people make as it relates to salary is that they just go with what they want to do. I have a YouTube video here. It's called Salary Negotiation Like a Boss. Maybe a video you want to check out that can actually help you develop what you want for your salary in terms of your salary ranges. I typically tell clients to put them in 3 ranges in terms of your salary, so it'll be a good video for you to take a look at. However, when it comes to the actual conversation, see what comes up initially. So if you're in your interview and salary comes up, then go ahead and talk about it. And I would not say, what is the salary? I would say, what is the salary range for someone with my level of expertise? That's how we left it in the previous live, because I want you to position yourself as an expert in your field. Because when you position yourself as an expert, your interviewer is going to get the sense that you are someone that is a person of high value, that has a lot you could offer to their organization, and be able to maybe adjust your salary accordingly. So I would definitely set it up that way. I would always ask for a range. If you ask somebody, what is the salary for this position? I'm telling you right now, they're going to tell you the lowest salary that they are willing to offer somebody for a position. That is, I would say, at least, and I'm not over exaggerating, at least 90% of companies will do that. You're going to have that 10% of companies that will have amazing bosses. I know I did this as a C-suite. I always help my employees get higher income than what they even ask for, because that's just me. People work really hard. I feel like they should be compensated as such. But majority of companies are going to give you the lowest number that they are going to offer you. And so the reason why I tell my clients to just use a range or ask for that salary range, because it gives you a range. So you have an idea as to, okay, this is one level of the range, this is the middle, this is the high level of the range, so that you don't box yourself in. If it comes up that way and they ask you, and this happens a lot of times, they will ask you, what salary are you looking for this position? Sometimes you may have to prepare for that. I would say the same question. What is the salary range for someone with my level of expertise? And smile. Because you want to give them a range. A lot of times companies, they aren't used to people being comfortable negotiating their salaries. Most of the time, professionals, regardless of gender, struggle with this. It's just hard because sometimes we don't feel comfortable talking about ourselves. And oftentimes no one sat down and told us and said, look, I'm going to tell you how you need to negotiate your salary. This is what you need to say. This is how you need to do it. So that is something that people are not comfortable with. So most hiring managers know that. And so if they see someone that actually says, what is the salary range, or you present your executive presence in such a way to where you are trying to articulate that you are very well versed about salary and you know your worth, then they kind of have to step back and really think and say, oh, this person is talking about their salary in a way that's a bit different than I've seen in the past. That will actually help you stand out as a candidate as well, and be able to make you just shine like a superstar, because everybody's not comfortable doing that. And so if you are following my channel here, subscribe to my channel, or follow me on any of the platforms I'm on right now, you'll know that I want to make sure that you are communicating at that higher level. I want you to be that exceptional person, that superstar that people are looking at and they say, wow, I want to hire this person right away for this particular job. And so if you're following me, if you're not subscribed to my channel, please do, because this is what I do. I mean, this is something I've had a 20 years of experience as a C-suite executive and a manager and a director. And as a public speaker and executive coach, I've been in those situations, and I know what it's like on the interview side, because I've hired hundreds of people. So definitely this is going to be a great opportunity for you to elevate your skills. Now, if you have any other questions, let me know. I know the other question we talked about briefly was, so we talked about salary a little bit. There was a phrase that you mentioned and kind of what questions that you may want to ask. So the 5-year goal of the company is always a good question to ask. What are their goals? What are the challenges that they would expect somebody to have in this position? One of the things I've talked about in my video, and this is more of a advanced level interviewing technique, is the following. You will want to know if the position they are hiring for, is this a replacement or an expansion position? You might be wondering why and what does this have to do with anything? Well, let me tell you, this is going to tell you a lot of information about the organization that you are applying for. If the position is a replacement position, then there was obviously somebody in that role before, and so you will want to have some insight in terms of what happened. Why did they leave? You don't want to ask that question directly because that's not appropriate, but it's good for you to know, because oftentimes if you say the position, is this a replacement position or an expansion position? Typically, the managers will be quite candid with you. If there was a challenge they had with an employee, they won't say the employee's name, but they will talk about the challenges. Because I see you'll catch people off guard, and that's if you're following me, this is what you're going to do, because people are going to tell you what you need to know. And so they would typically say, "Oh, well, this is going to be a replacement. We had somebody in this role before, and they either had to transition to another job, maybe they relocated because of family, or perhaps they struggled with the actual task itself." And so if they struggled with the task, then I would want to follow up and say, what are some of the challenges that you would expect for someone in this role to manage on a day-to-day basis, or however you want to say it, because then that will give you some insight in terms of the role. I tell my clients all the time, interviewing is not just them asking you questions. You need to ask questions too, because there's plenty of times where people will take jobs and the jobs are in toxic environments where it's ridiculously stressful, and you wish that you just would not have taken this job. And a lot of times there are subtle red flags that you have to pay very, very close attention to that will let you know at the beginning that something is going on with this job. Sometimes you don't pick them up initially. Sometimes an employer may put a very good front in front of you when they're in the interviewing process to basically have you come on board. But sometimes you'll pick it up pretty quickly, at least within your first 90 days. You should have an idea as to this is working, or I think I might want to look for something else. So that's something to keep in mind. If this is going to be a replacement position, they will tell you, don't have to ask any questions. They will probably say something about it. If they say, "Oh, this is a replacement position," and they don't say anything else, you might want to be concerned about that one. I'm telling you might, because that means there's something that they're not wanting to tell you that you probably need to know. Now, if it's an expansion position, that indicates that the company is growing. So that's always a good thing. Growth is always very good, especially when you're looking for a new job opportunity. So keep that in mind. Is this a replacement? Is this an expansion position? So that you get more insights there. Those are some questions I tell my clients all the time. I appreciate your feedback. Nice point. Thank you. These are things I've seen. I've been in those situations as a C-suite executive. So I know how you need to answer some questions. So if you have any questions you have for me as it relates to interviewing, feel free to ask me. I'm going to be on here for a little bit just to be able to provide some value to my audience and celebrate today being at 250 subscribers. Really excited about that. But if you have any more questions about it, let me know. I hope that gives you some answers, some questions that you can ask specifically when you are finished with your interview. I will say the number one mistake that so many people make that I don't want you to make at your interview is to not ask questions. Please ask a question. Even if it comes up to one question, ask something. Ask something at your interview, because at the end of the interview, when we have candidates we say, "Do you have any questions for me?" And they just look and say, "No," or "No, I don't have any. You've answered all my questions." I don't want you to do that. I want you to be able to ask at least one. Even if all your questions have been answered, ask something. Ask one question. You can ask the question. I would say, if you have no questions at all, none, all your questions just left your mind, then the one question I would ask is, what are what is the growth plan for this organization, or how, or something, ask a question about their mission, vision, values of the organization, something, because when you ask a question, it shows that you're very engaged, and that will help you stand out from other candidates. So I wanted to say hello to Miley. Hello, hello, welcome, welcome. Glad to see you here. So I'm answering any questions that you all have as it relates to interviewing. So if you have any questions as it relates to interviewing, please take an opportunity to learn from my 20 years of experience as a C-suite executive, a manager, director, executive coach, and public speaker, to help you develop your stories or go through any scenarios that you may have experienced, or perhaps you have an interview coming up. Just leave it in the comments below. I will definitely answer your question, as long as it's appropriate. There's always people on YouTube that say inappropriate things. I just continue to go with the lives, but as long as everything is appropriate, I would absolutely answer the question that you have. There's a question from one person. It's not clear, so I'll pass on that one. But while I am waiting for any questions to come through, I will share with you a couple other tips to keep in mind as you're preparing for your interviews. So the first thing I would always tell my clients to do when they're getting ready for interview preparation is to really prepare in advance. So you want to have a list of your stories in your mind that you want to talk about during your interview. Specifically, what I mean by stories is the scenarios that you have experienced in your jobs or in maybe previous roles that are directly associated with the job that you are applying for, or that showcase you as an expert. So you definitely want to try to come up with those stories. That is actually fundamental, because when you are asked questions, all of your questions need to go back to your story, why you are this amazing person for this particular role, because you are. A lot of times people, when they are interviewing, they get really nervous because somebody is literally asking them questions, and it almost feels like an interrogation to a certain extent, because they're just asking a lot of questions. But a lot of times people get very nervous and they get overwhelmed during the interview process, because they have a lot of experiences that they have been able to accomplish in their lives, or maybe they've had a lot of scenarios come up, and all of them are just here. They're all in their head, but they have not taken the time to really sit and think about them and make them concise and organize them in their own thoughts. And what happens is you go into the interview, you completely just forget about everything you're going to say, because you just don't know what your plan is to talk about. And you leave the interview saying, oh, I wish I would have said this, or I wish I would have said that. Why didn't I say this? I forgot. I was overwhelmed. And I don't want you to feel that way. So take a few moments to look at your career. Look at, I would say, your 3 biggest accomplishments. That's what I tell my clients that I'm working with to do. Look at your 3 biggest accomplishments and pull some stories out of those. Situational interviews are very, very important, because they ask those type of questions. And if you're not familiar with the STAR method, just check that out. But it basically is more situational based. So it would be something along the lines of, tell me about a time when, let's say, you had to manage a difficult situation. What was the end result? Or you could say you have a scenario where a client or a company is not happy with something that happened within your department. How would you manage situations like that? So a good rule of thumb when you're preparing for an interview is to think of your accomplishments, but also think of some challenges that you've had over the years too, because the challenges are where you will be able to showcase those challenges and put them in a place where they are strengths. That's really important. So when you may think that you had a problem with your coworker, and you're thinking to yourself, oh, it was just a really bad experience, I don't ever want to think about it again. Well, I would say, as an executive coach, let's think about what was the positive outcome of this experience. There may have been something that you learned in terms of how to manage difficult situations or coworkers and etc. that may help you on your journey. So you want to be able to have your very good experiences, the roles that you are very happy that you were able to be in and you accomplished a lot in, and then also think about those challenging scenarios as well. It's good to have that contrast, the good in some areas that you want to improve upon, so you can be able to get a very, very good sense of yourself and your stories and how you want to articulate them. So if you're just now joining, welcome, welcome. Glad to see you here today. I'm doing live interview Q&A to help you prepare for your next interview or be able to help someone else prepare for their interviews. I know the job market right now is very, very competitive. So I want to be able to help you all communicate at a higher level and really be able to ace your next interview. And if you have any questions for me specifically, let me know. If you are watching this on the replay, then I will be happy to answer any questions that you have. If you have a sensitive topic that you want to discuss with me that is not at that you don't want to talk about publicly, that's fine. Email me at info@exciteexcellence.org. I'll be happy to talk to you about whatever it is you have going on and see how we can come up with some type of a plan to help you move forward. So let me know if you have any other questions. I'm doing just a brief overview of some tips to have for your interview. So if you're just now joining, we've had a discussion about salary negotiations. As something to keep in mind, I do have a salary negotiation masterclass that's on my website, but I have my free YouTube video that talks about salary negotiation that is on my page. I'll do what I can to try to include that in the description. If not, it's on my channel. It's on my videos list. We talked a bit about salary as it relates to that. We talked about questions to ask in an interview setting. We talked about some insider tips. So if you're just watching it, you need to go back to the early part of the video to learn about some insider tips in terms of questions and situations that may come up when you're negotiating your salary and how you can prepare for them. We've talked briefly about developing your stories, preparing in advance for your interviews so that you have those stories down in your mind. And then we've also talked a bit about a more advanced level technique in terms of being able to have and develop your contrasting stories. So you have a story where things went very well, and then you develop a story of things that maybe did not go well, but you were able to turn it around and make it positive. So those are a couple things we've talked about so far. I'm going to share just a few more because I know we're getting a little bit longer on the live, and I appreciate y'all for being here and being so supportive. Thank you so much. So I'm going to share with you just maybe a couple more insights to keep in mind as you're preparing for your interview. One is to present your confident self. Oftentimes, you will go into interviews feeling a bit nervous just because it's an interview. But what I encourage you to do is to work on presenting yourself as a confident person. A lot of times that comes from how you speak and then your nonverbal gestures. So the way that your body responds to questions. Oftentimes, what really causes challenges for people is sometimes what they say, that plays a big part of it. But the nonverbal gestures are what really can cause people to think that you're not confident. So if you're not quite sure of how you are communicating and you're wondering about that, one of the things I tell my clients to do is to record themselves on video and talk about or answer an interview question. This will give you some insight in terms of how you're communicating. If you want to get that next level support to really elevate your career skills, your communication skills, and to communicate at a higher level within a week, then sign up for my communication skills audit. It's listed on my website. It is a really great service where we basically sit one-on-one and you record a few videos. I analyze your videos from me being a C-suite executive and a public speaker and an executive coach. And I will literally take a look at how you're communicating and see what it is that you are doing or saying that is detracting away from your confidence, or give you some insight on how you can elevate your confidence and enhance your executive presence, regardless of what role you're in. It's not necessarily specific to interviewing, but it's something that can be used just to elevate your career. Because oftentimes when people are struggling in their careers and they're not moving the way that they want to in their careers, majority of the time, it has something to do with the way that you're communicating, whether that's verbally or non-verbally. So if you want to be able to elevate your communication skills and advance in your career, then sign up for the communication skills audit that is going to be listed in the description below. Now, we talked a bit about communicating your confident self, being mindful of your verbal and your nonverbal gestures. I believe I can squeeze one more in for you all today. I know we're getting a little bit long on the live, but I hope you all are getting some value out of how you can prepare for an interview and just to take some real life tips. Sometimes on YouTube, people will say some strategies or some techniques that are a bit more I would say conceptual in nature, and unless you've been on the hiring manager side at a higher level, then there's certain aspects of it that you may just not grasp in terms of how you can make this a reality to someone. Sometimes it's just concepts. We're talking about how you can interview, speak slow, and make eye contact. All those things are very important, but sometimes you just need those real strategies to help you, and that's what I'm here for. So we talked a lot about different types of ways to help you during your interview. The last tip I would recommend for you as it relates to preparing for an interview that you have coming up is to take some time and know your numbers, because you're going to this job or this interview for a reason. You're not going to volunteer. If you're going to volunteer, then you would not be doing the interview. Well, maybe you would be, depending on the organization. But for the most part, you are going to receive some form of compensation for you being there. A lot of times people make this mistake in that they don't do that. What they will do is they will just worry about preparing, how they're going to speak, what they're going to say, how they're going to dress, all of those wonderful things. But when it comes down to salary, sometimes we just don't think about it, or we don't have it organized in a way to where we can articulate our value to get a salary that we're looking for. So I want to know from you, have you ever struggled with this before? Let me know in the comments below, because I'd be happy to give you some insights on it and see how I can help you with this. But prepare your salary in advance. You should have a couple of ranges. I talk about this on my YouTube channel. There's a salary negotiation video that you'll want to check out. A salary negotiation like a woman boss, and then there is a salary negotiation masterclass that is listed on my website as well, that you are able to purchase. That's listed at a special price for the quarter, before the end of quarter 3 or quarter 1, I believe. So right now, when you come to an interview, you should be ready to talk about money at any point in time. It could be at the beginning of the conversation, it could be at the end. I don't want you to be caught off guard, because I can't tell you how many times I have actually caught someone off guard about talking about money. You would be surprised, right? Regardless of level of profession in education. You could have your master, you could have your bachelor's degree, you have your associate's degree, you could have no degree, you could have your master's, you could have your doctorate. I have at least stumped, I don't know how many people as it relates to salary, because a lot of times people come in and they're not prepared about it. I think a lot of times this comes for two things. Sometimes we're not comfortable talking about salary. And many years ago, it depends on your age, people always discourage you from talking about salary at the first interview. They genuinely did discourage that. And I believe that we are just now getting to the other side of that as a group of individuals now, where we feel a bit more comfortable talking about salary, even if it is at the first interview. It's okay. It's okay to talk about salary, because you don't want to waste your time and you don't want to waste their time either. So you want to make sure you're being compensated, or you're at least in a good ballpark that will actually help you in your career goals. So I hope that this information has been very helpful to you. If you have any questions on the replay, feel free to let me know. This was more of a live Q&A. So I didn't have necessarily a structured format, but we did go over several expert level tips that will help you be able to do well in your interviews. And if you want some additional support, reach out to me at info@exciteexcellence.org. I will be able to help you and answer any question you may have. And I would recommend for you to take a look at the communication skills audit that's on my page, that is going to be listed in the description below. That will really help you communicate at that higher level. I do want to mention to you that I do have several master classes that are coming up very soon. If you've been watching my live videos here recently, I do talk about them on every live, because I may not see you until another video. But I have a masterclass I plan on hosting that is going to specifically talk about interview preparation. And we're going to touch a bit on salary negotiation. I did a salary negotiation masterclass last year, but we're going to touch on it briefly because it is important for you to know. But I'm going to talk about that as a masterclass. Another masterclass is going to be on executive presence development. Another masterclass is going to be on elite communication skills at work. And the last masterclass is going to be on public speaking and presentation skills. They're not in that order, but those are a few of the masterclasses that I am doing my absolute best to try to provide to my audience by the end of quarter one, so I can make sure everybody that's following my page, especially my women in leadership, are in a good place where they feel very good about what they are trying to accomplish and getting themselves ready for the remainder of the year. So if you have any questions, feel free to let me know, especially as it relates to the interview process. And I am looking forward to seeing you all in the next video. And once again, thank you so much for subscribing to my channel. I'm so excited to be at 250 subscribers. Right now, the channel has about 43,000 views on it. So that is so exciting, and I appreciate your support. And just let me know how I can help you. How can I help you communicate at that higher level, develop your confidence in your executive presence so that you can accelerate in your career? I'm happy to see any topics that you want me to go over for you and provide you with over 20 years of experience as a C-suite executive, manager, director, and public speaker and executive coach to really help you fast track your career. So I hope you have a great day and a wonderful weekend, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.